Hi, good morning. It's Ghatt, and we have another Definition Wednesdays. If you are new to my YouTube channel, I invite you to subscribe below. But Definition Wednesdays is something that I do on my Online Guru channel where I define a term in online content creation world, the digital content world, for those of you who are in this space or entering the space and may not know this term but should know this term. So today I'm going to be talking to you. Today's Definition Wednesday term is syndication. So if you don't know what syndication is, you may have heard the term in reference and it relates to television. So, for example, Friends, which was a popular television show during the 1990s, was on NBC. However, after a few years of seasons, NBC, or the people who created Friends, their production company or the distribution company, sold the rights to other networks like UPN, maybe WTTG, not WCGG, Fox, UPN, or some other network to show it on their local channels in syndication after the early seasons or the previous seasons, episodes of the previous seasons, not the current season. So there may be a current season going on, for the original network, which was NBC at the time. But while you can catch new episodes of new seasons on the original channel, the other channels, the other networks had it as well. Another popular show that's popularly syndicated nowadays is, I think, Modern Family. I think, so anyway, that's what syndication is, and people know it as in terms of the word syndication. You also know syndication in terms of syndicated newspaper columns, like Dear Abby, for example. It's a newspaper column. I forget where it originally started, but it's an advice column. It started originally in some of the local paper, but it gained national attention. People like it. People sought out that local newspaper to get Dear Abby's columns, or they'll send Abby questions, even though they weren't located in her city, and it got popular. So other newspapers signed an agreement. So it's syndicated. You also know the word syndication in terms of for cartoons. So a lot of cartoons are nationally syndicated. So they may start out in a local paper and other newspapers will carry them in their cartoon, in their comic section. So that's just traditionally what you think of when you think of syndicate. Also nationally syndicated radio shows like Howard Stern, Rush Limbaugh, or radio stations that may start off locally on one network, or the person who stars in the radio show may record in their local radio station and local neighborhood or local community, but it's so popular, or what they do is it becomes national. Nowadays, as we know, with podcasting and YouTube, shows like the Breakfast Club and other Hot 95, and there's other radio stations, it's easier to syndicate even if you don't have like a official formal syndication agreement. People can go to YouTube or subscribe to your podcast, and you can actually get national coverage or national attention to your podcast. So traditionally, in traditional media, that's how syndication works. Now, for the press, or for the written new media and bloggers and vloggers, I'll share with you, and YouTubers, I'll share with you how syndication works. It's kind of similar and kind of different. But what syndication allows you to do, if you are a brand new content creator and you know that one of the things you need to do in order to grow a presence online or to grow a fan base or curate a community is you have to post often. But a lot of times people are busy and they're doing this as a labor of love, or they're doing this part-time, or they're starting out and they just don't have the time to dedicate to constantly cranking out content. So one way to get out around that is to syndicate, which essentially means take someone else's content or some other source that constantly produces content, and you share their content on your page and you syndicate it. And so that's syndication, and it's legal to do that. Believe it or not, it's legal to have an entire blog made up primarily of content from other sources. And I'll show you in a few later on down this video. I'll tell you how to do that, how it's possible. But how syndication works in the web world is, a lot of times you may be reading an entertainment article and you get to the bottom of the article and there'll be a little tagline in italics that says, this article originally appeared in Entertainment Weekly, like the print version, or it originally appeared in Eon 9 News. So similar to traditional newspapers, broadcast, television, radio, when there's a formal arrangement to say, well, we're going to share you allow me to repost content that was originally on our content. The modern blogs owned by big companies have similar relationships where they share. I'm an independent blogger, so I often also have people who contact me because they want access to my audience, and so they'll say, I created this great infographic that seems to meet the needs of your audience, and you guys may appreciate as well. Well, I see you've already posted an article on allergy relief, and I did an article summarizing like the top allergy medicines and things like that. So I invite you to share my article I did this week to your blog, or link it or something like that. That's really link builders, or somehow connected, so they're getting bigger audiences. And if I link or attach my link or link their page for mine, they're going to get some link juice. They're going to get some authority from linking to mine, which is an older and more established blog. So that's another way of syndicating, is like you can post an entire article when someone reaches out to you and say, hey, repost my article, repost my infographic on your site. So that's how syndication works when someone reaches out to you. Syndication. But then here's the legal way how you can syndicate other people's content. So I run 4 different blogs at various different times in my life. I'm busy because I'm married with 3 kids and I'm very active in athletics and academics and music and other things, and there's PTA, there's bake sales and things like that. So I'm really, really active with my kids while running these 4 blogs, while also just trying to kickstart or launch a startup as well. I'm looking at my backyard. It's not my backyard, it's my neighbor's backyard, but that fence needs to change anyway. So focus. So legally, it's a lot to do all, but I want to keep the blogs going. I'm not update them once a month. I want to update them more regularly. One way that you can legally update your blog, this isn't really reference to vloggers or YouTubers or podcasters, how you can legally update your blog or site that you're maintaining legally by using other people's content, is for you to take the first 4 sentences or 2 sentences in an existing blog or website or post article, put it on yours, and then have read more, and essentially, or for more information, go here. So you're sending someone to the other pages. And those sites, those larger sites like UK Daily Mail, for example, or USA Today, they anticipate that people are going to syndicate the content. Because if you notice, if you go and screen capture, or you go and cut and paste, like highlight and copy their copy and then paste it on yours, you would know that a lot of times when you paste it, it's the paste sends along the thing says, for more information, go here. So they anticipate that people will indeed be cutting pieces of their content and placing it someplace else. And so they say, to make sure that you send people to the right content, to the right site to go back, we're going to go ahead and send along the metadata or send along some information to remind you, just in case you don't, we'll post it down there and say, see more. So that just tells you that they anticipate that people will be syndicating their content. And so what you can do to maximize that, and syndication is good, one, because you don't have the time or ability or resources or editorial staff aboard to constantly create new content. So that's one way for you to keep your blog refreshed, is to use their content. So that's a great reason. A second reason is you can use that to get new audiences. So for example, let's say the post was about, recently there's a woman had Black Friday was recent. I'm recording this in December 2018, but on Black Friday there was a small company. There's a woman who she actually did a live cast of her orders coming in, and she's like a small new nascent cosmetic brand, but she's created following and created a little bit of buzz. So when she had this big Black Friday sale, she made $1 million in one day. So a lot of people did articles on her. So you can take like a Black Enterprise or Forbes magazine article on her and take the first 4 lines from that Forbes or Black Enterprise magazine and just say, see more, and just use a different headline. Use like, not clickbait, but using a headline that's going to attract people to come to your site. So if you said something like, let's say I don't know if this happens, but let's say she was homeless. So to say something like, woman goes from homeless to millionaire in one day, So she was homeless at one point. She didn't really go from homeless to millionaire one day, but she used to be homeless, and now she's a millionaire, and one day is Black Friday. So it's a kind of clickbaity article, headline, but you can use some sort of headline to get people to click, and they go and they read a little bit about it. If they want to finish reading it, they can click off and go over to Forbes or Black Enterprise or Inc. magazine's full article about her experience, or you can just click and go to actually the woman's actual Facebook page when she talks about it. So that's one way of getting people in. So when people come in, hopefully they won't get mad at you because you're sending them someplace else, but they'll come in, they'll see your site, they may sign up for your newsletter, they may see other articles, they may stick around. So you're drawing them in using someone else's content, but switching up their headline a little bit. And also it's good to switch up the headline for SEO purposes, because for SEO, they'll push, they don't really like repetition or copying, so you get penalized if you're copying someone's whole. That's another reason to deter wholesale copying of the entire article, is because they don't really like dupes, because they know people duplicate and they steal. So the SEO doesn't want to promote your site if it's showing the content of someone else's site verbatim. So that's why you just want to have the first 3-4 lines. Though I have seen, and I think I've done this a couple of times myself, on accident, not on purpose, someone just cut more than 4 lines. They'll cut like 3 out of the 4 paragraphs and just say see more. And I know some really big reputable sites have done that. Click without prior permission, because you know it's prior permission if it says this article was originally appears in this other site. So you know most likely if you see that language, that means they had a permission to post that. But if you don't see that and you just see more, most likely they're just syndicating because they can, and that's a legal way of, you know, sharing other people's content. But you're not supposed to share more than like a line. But I've seen people share like 4 out of 5 paragraphs and say see more. You're like, okay, that's shady, because that totally is like, could be considered copyright infringement. But anyway, so what gets around that, taking a snippet, is called fair use, which is a doctrine in the copyright laws. It says that for commentary, for critique, for parodying purposes, you can take someone else's work or derivative and make a derivative piece of work. So for example, you see people do cover bands, so they're covering an artist, but they're changing it so much because it's not the artist's actual song. It's their words and their lyrics and their beat, but they may add something new to it. They may add tambourines, they may slow it down, they may speed it up, they may add a funk beat to it, but essentially they're really changing the work. And so it's like a derivative. That's why cover bands covers of original music don't necessarily get flagged for copyright, because it's not the right song. It's not the original song, and anyone who watches it or listens to it would say, okay, that's not the original. That's not the original. So anyway, so that's how musicians get around, use the fair use doctrine, or if there's a teacher and the teacher's trying to explain about Dante's Inferno, so they need to get a snippet from it and they can distribute it and copy it and share it to their class because they're going to be teaching about it. Or if someone is criticizing a decision by a lawmaker or a book, or they're doing a review of a book, you're allowed to take snippets of that, or copying. Anyway, so in the way that bloggers, or you may see YouTubers or vloggers syndicate, is they do this thing called it's like a review, but it's a reaction post. That's what it is. So you'll see, let's say Rihanna does a new video, and so there'll be like 2 people, popular YouTubers, and they'll show Rihanna's full video in the little sidebar, but essentially, and you're watching their reaction to watching Rihanna's video. So technically, they shouldn't be showing all of Rihanna's entire video, but what you're seeing is Rihanna's entire video, but you're also seeing the person's reaction to it. So that's kind of fair use, because it's kind of like critique or commentary that fits within the fair use doctrine. So here's where it helps to have a lawyer who's also an online content guru giving you information. Anyway, so I've talked longer than I wanted to, more than 10 minutes, and that's a good thing. YouTube channels, YouTube rewards people who keeps folks on watching for more than 10 minutes. That's something you should know. Anyway, so that's it. So that's syndication in a nutshell. That's how syndication works. That's how you can syndicate as a means of keeping up a blog that you just started. And so I just showed how vloggers, YouTubers syndicate, and podcasters, I don't know, podcasters can do critique or play a bit of someone else's podcast and add commentary. So that's a little bit more work though. But anyway, so essentially that's syndication in a nutshell. That's it. Subscribe, like, comment, and that's it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.